My name is Jeff Savell. I'm a professor in the Department of Animal Science at Texas A&M University. My specialty is meat science, so I study about how meat's produced, how it's graded, the inspection of it, production, all kinds of things as it relates to meats. BSE is bovine spongiform encephalopathy, also referred to as mad cow disease, and it's a neurological disease that animals have contracted in the past that causes their brain to have the spongy appearance, which is one of the reasons where it gets the term spongiform, and it is degenerative, so it will result eventually in the animal's death. This came about in Great Britain in the 1980s, and we found that it was somehow spread through the feed that had animal products in it. And since that time, there were a lot of firewalls that have been put in place as far as you cannot feed, animal products in feed that are going to cattle. We also have to remove specific things that are called specified risk materials, which are products or items that would be in the animal that if the BSE agent were there, it would be present there. Over many years, there have been a lot of tests done in the United States. There have only been 3 cows that have been found to have BSE. Over many tens and hundreds of thousands of animals that have been tested since that time. So we're real confident that the firewalls and protection that have been put in place has resulted in this low number that we've seen. The history of this disease is that it was first found in Great Britain in the 1980s. And once it was discovered, they started looking and trying to figure out what was causing it to occur. And they quickly found that it was coming in the feed, because the feed would have had animal products in the feed that would have had this disease within it, or the agent that causes the disease. So immediately Europe, or at least Great Britain at that point, started banning the feeding of animal products back to animals, and started a number of programs in place trying to prevent the spread of this. And what's interesting is if you look at the information that has been released in Great Britain, once the feed ban went in place, the disease started going down. So it was like a classical, like an infectious disease that ramped up and then ramped back down. And so they were very confident that the source of the disease was coming through the feed, and once that had been removed, that the number of cases over the years began to decline. Because of the concern in the United States about whether or not BSE could be here, one of the things that began to ban the use of animal products in feed in 1996, almost as a preemptive strike before there was any such cases. The first case in the United States came about in 2003, and immediately after that we began to do additional hurdles in place to prevent this from becoming a widespread disease, of which the biggest one has been the removal of the specified risk materials. And so animals that are of a certain age have to have certain products from them removed and destroyed, cannot enter the food supply. And so this has been very helpful in preventing any widespread production here in the United States of BSE. We've had 3 cows in this time period, 2003, and 2 that came after that. And we're very confident that there may be others that show up periodically, but there's not going to be a widespread amount of BSE in the United States, simply because there was never enough that would have ever been in the animal feed in the first place, and we weren't using very much of the animal feed anyway. And so you really look, the ban against the animal products and the animal feed is going on now 14 years from 1996 to today. One of the things that happens, USDA tests a tremendous number of animals for BSE, but they're testing the animals that are more at risk, those that are older, those that may have neurological disease or symptoms of a neurological disease. And so those are tested very often, and as a result of those tests, it's been many years since there have been any positive BSE cases here in the United States. In the mid-1990s, we had the ban against feeding animal products back to beef. We also, in the mid-2000s, began to remove specified risk material, those products that if the BSE agent were present, that's the products that would have contained that. And so you have these multiple steps that have been put in place. There's been no safety problems with respect to steaks or ground beef, the muscle cuts that come from any beef. And so I have a great confidence that because of the programs that have been put into place, that beef is absolutely safe here in the United States with respect to BSE.